യം ശൈവാഃ സമുപാസതേ ശിവ ഇതി ബ്രഹ്മേതി വേദാന്തിനോ ബൗദ്ധാ ബുദ്ധ ഇതി പ്രമാണപടവഃ കർത്തേതി നൈയായികാഃ അർഹന്നിത്യഥ ജൈനശാസനരതാഃ കർമ്മേതി മീമാംസകാഃ സോയം വോ വിദധാതു വാഞ്ചിതഫലം ത്രൈലോക്യനാഥോ ഹരിഃ. സോയം വോ വിദധാതു വാഞ്ചിതഫലം ത്രൈലോക്യനാഥോ ഹരിഃ. ഹരിഃ ഓം ഹരിഃ ഓം ഹരിഃ. Now all of you join me in reciting this Om, the auspicious monosyllable, 3 times as usual. I would like everybody to participate along with me in this chorus recitation. Consider this to be a very sublime austerity intended to benefit the entire humanity, no, even more than that. Harihi, Harihi. Interlock your fingers, put them on your lap. Sit as comfortably possible. Sit as comfortable as possible, but erect, as comfortably erect, and then open the mouth and also the heart. And join me. Harihi Om Tats Jai Guru. The subject for today is excellence and exhortation of Sreemad Bhaagavatam. Whenever I think of or speak about Sreemad Bhaagavatam, one important factor strikes me at the very outset itself. The Sreemad Bhagavata is considered to be a Mahapurana. Purana means a mythological composition. The word myth, perhaps all of you know, English knowing people, what is different from fact? Something is a myth. It is something very spurious, fictitious, illusory in character. That is what is called a myth. An ology of myth means what? Something that has been made out of a number of myths. That is called mythology. But so far as we are concerned, this is an English word which has been attributed to the Sanskrit word called Purana. But the word Purana has got an altogether different meaning. What is that meaning? Purana means very old, ancient, more ancient, most ancient, and even still more. Super ancient. So whatever is presented in a Purana is not something that you will find recently born or a few millennia earlier born. Right from the beginning of human civilization, so to say, whatever is the content and the message of the Puranas, you will find all of them were there right from the beginning. That is why it is called Purana. Not only that, if you go further into the word and its association, you will find in Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna clearly says right at the outset in the 2nd chapter, Ajo nityasya ashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. In describing the soul, the presence that dwells within the body, different from the body, which is giving the power of animation and the power of activity to the body, That presence, that wonderful power and presence, that is called Ajaha, unborn, Nityaha, eternal, Shashwataha, changeless, Puranaha, most ancient. Our body is not ancient. Our grandparents and their parents were not ancient. But you will find even before the very creation, the manifest creation began, emerged, this thing which we are referring to was there. There is no time when it was not. That is called the Purana. That has nothing to do with myth or mythology at all. It's a very clear analysis, a wonderful finding and discovery, a very important item of our daily experience, realization. It is something that you can never disregard, set aside, or refute at any point of time. Is there anyone in this assembly or anywhere in the world who can say, I am not? Everybody knows I am. I am. It is from the amness of the I that all other things proceed, if at all. So this is something that you can never doubt. Now this is called a Mahapurana. Mythological compositions, as the English phrase goes, these compositions are quite a number. We have got 18 Puranas, mythological compositions, and 18 Upapuranas, sub-mythological compositions. Is Sreemad Bhaagavatam something like that? Certainly not. The narrative has something like a Mahapurana style, we agree. But the subject discussed, the author of the subject, the content and the message driven through the whole narration, the purpose for which it is resorted to, all these give it an altogether different, a rare, sublime status. What is that status? It is a Paramahamsya Samhita. It's a very special and unique composition called Compendium, authored by the Paramahamsas. Who are the Paramahamsas? The Paramahamsas are very, very elevated people, magnificent people. Ordinary, a human being is supposed to be, he is described as a Hamsa, a swan. Swan has got the capacity, the skill, the unique merit of separating the milk from the water. Suppose 1 liter of milk, you pour 2 liters of water, altogether 3. The whole of it will look like white and will appear to be milk itself. You give it to the swan. The swan will take 1 liter of milk and give you back the water. It's very difficult to distinguish between water and milk. When water joins milk, all of them become together alike milk. So the swan has got that kind of a capacity. Our body, mixed up with the soul, blended with the soul, we are unable to differentiate that there is a soul at all. All of you feel that you are the body. But what produces heat in the body? What produces experience in the body? What produces knowledge and memory in the body? That cannot be anything material, physical, or even energial in character. It has to be entirely different from the body, the physical body consisting of matter and energy. If at all you can say it is supra-material and supra-energial, this is what you have to say. Now, though the body is associated with the soul, and there is a beautiful composition, a merger between the two, we are unable to distinguish. But we have to become a swan. Just like it is able to distinguish between milk and water, we must be able to clearly identify what is that soul content in the body which makes the body animate and active. The human soul is supposed to be a swan. And being a swan, if you are able to excel in this process of distinguishing the body from the soul or soul from the body, then you are supposed to be a Paramahamsa. The human, having reached the zenith of humanhood, the very purpose and objective, the fulfillment of human life. If we live in this world, eating and drinking, sleeping and procreating, like a number of animals, birds and reptiles, you cannot say it is that edifying and elevated human life. In our life, the sole importance is for knowledge and knowledge alone. We have to think before we act. We have to think before we speak. So many people have lived, so many generations have passed, and we have the experience and also the knowledge gained by all our predecessors. While we have all this experience, we have to proceed thereafter, build upon the stock that we already have. So our life has to be different. It has to be given to knowledge, governed by knowledge, dictated by knowledge, led by knowledge, and taken to its fulfillment by the very knowing process. Paramahamsas are those people who have taken up this pursuit exclusively, solely, a wholesome pursuit, and they also put a lot of austerity into that pursuit, and they lived a wholesomely austere life, as a result of which they were able to take the human life to its destined pinnacle, fulfillment, zenith, glory and splendor. This is what has happened. So in Sreemad Bhagavata you will find it is authored by a Paramahamsa, no less a person than sage Vedavyasa. Sage Vedavyasa gave us all the spiritual literature that we have. We have 4 Vedas. All of them are compiled in their present form by sage Vedavyasa. He has also written the Brahma Sutras on the one hand, the philosophical, the logical and the rational rendering of all the Upanishadic findings, Upanishadic dicta. He has written a number of Puranas also, it is said. Amongst all of them, he also happened to write Sreemad Bhagavatam. If you go into it historically, the language experts and the others tell us that Sreemad Bhagavatam in the present form, in the form in which it appears before us, it was composed, if at all, something like 1400 years back. To say something more about it, it has been composed in the South India during the special glorious tenure of the Alvar community, the Vaishnavite people. Many of the descriptions provided in Srimad Bhagavatam, the language and some of the regional references Srimad Bhagavata makes, all of these lead us to conclude that it was composed in the south. There are special references to the Arikana tree there. The Arikana tree is something very characteristic of our area here. There are so many other things also. Now this is the latest scripture penned by or authored by Sage Vyasa. It is called a Paramahamsa Samhita because it is authored by him. The purpose of Srimad Bhagavata is also to tell all of you that you are Hamsas, swans, and you have the role of distinguishing the body and the soul. Whenever anybody is born, he is anointed with, he is crowned with a twofold heredity, as I put it. We are all mortals because of our body, and we are immortal because of the soul which animates and activates the body. Don't think that we are born only with the body. The body is mortal, therefore we are mortal. But what animates and activates the body is immortal, therefore we are also immortal. It is the story, the truth, the fact of immortality that Krishna conveyed to Arjuna when Arjuna was unable to fight and he sat back, throwing away his weapons, completely disillusioned. Completely disillusioned. It was that immortal soul, the message of the immortal soul that was instilled, infused and imbued into Arjuna. Arjuna was able to revive himself, take back the weapons which he had thrown away. It has got great capacity, the advice or the instruction or the exhortation or the exposition of the soul. So the content and message is such that it will make all the hearers and readers Paramahamsas, and you will become like Parikshit, liberated at the end of the whole narration. Parikshit had only 7 days left before him. On the 7th day, he got completely liberated from the body. He lost all his body consciousness and he was steeped in and dissolved into the soul consciousness. This is what happened there. Before Takshaka came and administered his fateful bite, and the body completely got charred and burnt and reduced into ashes from the fire that arose from the poison injected by Takshaka, the real Parikshit was not there at all. He had completely left the body, got himself inward, and finally dissolved into, fused into his own immortal, spatial presence inside the body. So it's a very clear indication that the text is a Paramahamsa Samhita. It was authored by one. It was narrated by another Avadhuta Paramahamsa in the form of Shukamani. That is why, my dear souls, even now if Srimad Bhagavatam has to rip open the mystery, has to clearly place before you its supreme and celebrated purpose of liberating every one of you, it has to be rendered, explained, beautifully described, narrated by a Paramahamsa. Then only it will have its meaning. That is why it is called the Paramahamsya Samhita. The greatness of the text is seen everywhere, anywhere, right in the beginning. The first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam proceeds in this manner. I have said this so many times. It is to be repeated many, many times more. Janmadyasya yatonvayadi tarataha Janma adi asya yataha. This is the subject of discussion. Srimad Bhagavata does not speak about a heaven. It does not speak about a hell so much. It speaks about your own souls. That from which the entire creation has proceeded and emerged. We will all doubtlessly say that we are earthly denizens. We are creatures. We are beings of the earth. So we can first of all say we are earth's beings. Now the question arises, where from is the earth born? After all, what is the space occupied by the earth in the total space that is surrounding it? The space is endless, and the earth has got something like 24,000 miles or kilometers as its diameter. But you will find millions and millions and millions and trillions of kilometers are there, right from right to left and top to bottom in the space. How much of that? And what is this earth after all? It is something very, very small, very, very small, very, very small. Not even of the size of a black gram, urd dal. It's not even so much. So where from has this earth come? What is its source? What is its origin? Not only that, the origin of all tendencies that we find in the human beings, in also the rest of the creatures. We have various tendencies, multiple tendencies. All of them are proceeding from within our body. What is that wonderful source which gives to such multiple tendencies? We want to change ourselves. So we want to know what is the source of everything. So Srimad Bhagavatam has this and this alone for its discussion, for its analysis, for its search, research and finding. Janma, Adi, Asya, Yataha. I would like you to know that we have something called the cultural treasure of India. What did I say? Cultural treasure of India. What is that cultural treasure? Yes, we have. It is clearly recorded, written, communicated, heard, talked, discussed, imbibed, then pursued with tenacity, perfected in its full measure. Thereafter it is bequeathed and transmitted to the others. And that too for countless generations. Not one. Many, many millennia have passed. Millennia have passed. This recorded finding is there. When something is there in written form before you, you cannot doubt it at all. There must have been an author. And the language is ours. We can understand it. We can think about it. We can speak about it. We can analyze it. We can make a number of commentaries on what we see and what we hear. So there is no question of doubting. Therefore the cultural treasure is there. In this treasure is discussed human values, human principles, human goals and the means of realizing them. Everything that is mentioned in the cultural treasure is with a view to enrich the human mind, elevate the human intelligence, enlighten the inner personality and fulfill it by all means. That is the purpose. So it has got a relevance which you cannot question or set aside. It is always present there. Nobody can doubt it at all. It is there in the present form. This prasthana trayam, the word trayam means a composite of three items, three constituents. What are they? The first item will be the Vedic Upanishads. Vedas are divided into four sectors. One is called the Samhita portion, consisting of various hymns and prayers addressed to the superhuman powers. The second one consists of a number of rituals and ceremonies which are to be performed with fire and without fire, chanting a number of mantras, making a variety of obligations to the blazing fire. When we pass these two, we enter into the phase called Aranyaka. When we become old, we will not be able to perform the rituals in a protracted manner as we have been doing thus far, then far. So we have to retire from that. When we retire, what shall we resort to? We must have a substitute. So a number of contemplations where the mind and intelligence alone were employed were evolved then. That is called the Aranyaka. And finally you come to the Upanishads. The Upanishads are the last words of the Vedic literature. There they took up inquiries, investigations, examinations, evaluations, search, research, finding and repeated finding and verification. All these things were done in the Upanishadic sphere or in the Upanishadic level of life. So the Upanishads are the last words of the Vedas. They are the foundation for Prasthanatrayam. But the Upanishads are many in number, not one. Available before us are something like 148 Upanishads. Out of all of them you will find 10 plus 1, 11 Upanishads are considered to be very supreme and in a way the composite of the whole item. They are called the Dashopanishad. With the addition of Shvetashvatara Upanishad, it becomes Ekadasha Upanishad. Shankaracharya has written commentaries for all the 11. In the Prasthanatrayam, the first and the primary text or the primary text will be the Upanishads. But in the Upanishads, everything is not available in one text. They are lying scattered, as I said. So the scattered thoughts have been collected and presented in a consistent and a cogent manner in the composition called Brahma Sutras. These Brahma Sutras are after Badarayana or Vyasadeva. There are about 560 or so Brahma Sutras. In English they are called aphorisms or aphoristic statements. There are not many words. A few words are there. And each word will require a great degree of complex introspection. So the first sutra goes by the name Janma Adi Asya Yataha. Janmadyasya Yataha. The first Brahma Sutra. Now in Sreemad Bhaagavatam, the first verse starts from this. So you can understand how important it is. So we have the Vedic Upanishads constituting the foundation of the Prasthanatrayam. Then all the different thoughts, scattered thoughts are presented in a consistent manner, in a logical, scientific, sequential manner in the Brahma Sutras. Then we have a commentary for the Upanishads as well as the Brahma Sutras by Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharatam, which is considered to be either the fifth Veda or the Smriti. Smriti is something like the constitution that we have. It tells us what are we to do, what should govern our behavior, what are the values, principles, watchwords, goals, aims, objectives and the like, so far as our life is concerned. You know, in India, we became independent in 1947 and in 1950 we formed a constitution and gave it to ourselves. We framed a constitution, the thinkers of the country, and after framing the constitution, a constituent assembly had been formed, and after having adopted it, we said, we give it to ourselves. Everything in India, within the boundaries of India, will have to thrive and flourish only under the constitution. Similarly, Smriti is something like that. In Mahabharata, you will find this kind of a constitutional framework. There is nothing anywhere in creation which is not in Mahabharata. And what is in Mahabharata, that alone can be found elsewhere, anywhere in the world. Now, Bhagavad Gita is part of this Mahabharata. So it is called the Smriti. This is the third item, the third constituent in Prasthanatrayam. This is what I said, cultural treasure of our country. I would like all the intellectuals to understand that we have a cultural treasure. It is not as nonsense that is written there. On the one hand, it dates back to the ageless Vedic Upanishads. On the other hand, it presents everything in a logical form, scientific form, with no preference or prejudice of any kind whatsoever. So you cannot question it, it's irrefutable. It is unassailable. It compels itself for your acceptance, for your recognition. And then Sri Krishna himself has given a commentary on both Bhagavad Gita. These are the three. One is the Vedic Upanishads, Shruti. Another is Brahma Sutras called Nyaya, logical sequence. And then Bhagavad Gita is called Smriti. These are the three foundational texts on which the whole culture of our country completely rests. Understand it. Understand it. Understand it. There is something like this for us. It is not nonsense written there. The mightiest of world intellectuals will not be able to unravel many of the statements that are presented there. It's a wonderful thing. I don't think anywhere in the world a similar treasure has ever been made. Whatever treasure is there, made by you, in the form of a memoir whatsoever, everything is subject to the ravages of time, the assaults of time. Everything will become old. The literature a society is able to produce will only be able to survive and thrive gloriously more and more as age advances. Can you remember the time when the Upanishads were formed, the prehistoric time? We cannot remember. But they are available to us before us in the form of a print and in a language which still speaks to us. It is written in Sanskrit, and that Sanskrit has not undergone any mutation whatsoever. It still remains there. We can read it, we can understand it, we can interpret it, we can employ it, we can succeed in employing and pursuing the message. It is so beautiful and so great and so glorious. This Prasthanatrayam, out of which Brahma Sutras, Sreemad Bhagavatam commences with the first sutra. Janmadyasya yatonvayaditaratah chartheshvabhijnaswarat. So Sreemad Bhagavatam is not something like a Purana, a mythological composition. It tells you about your own source, the source of earth, the source of creation, the source of nature, the source of the so-called Purusha also. They have been able to find out. See, listen to it, and they will unravel the mystery for you. I have been discussing it all these years. In some years, all the more the discussion was. This time it is so. Now, this is one. And in the first verse itself he says, what do I propose to do by making you read or listen to Srimad Bhagavatam? I always want you to do something. What is that? Satyam param dhimahi. Satyam param dhimahi. Say this. Satyam param dhimahi. I want you to be vigorous. Satyam param dhimahi. Not sufficient. Satyam param dhimahi. The word dhimahi means contemplate upon it using your intelligence. Contemplate upon what? Satya, that which remains true. And what is the true? That which is present in the past, in the present, and also in the future. Whatever is capable of being present, making itself felt, in the past, in the present, and the future alike, that alone can be the true. And let me know whether there is anything in the visible world which can remain like this forever alike. Do you know of anything in the whole world which can remain the same throughout the past, present and future? Nothing at all. What about your body, from which all activities proceed, all cognitions and understanding also emanate? Is your body ever present? Huh? A few years you have been living in. Before the few years, were you there? Was the body there? And after birth, how many transformations have taken place? We were young, we were a little lad. Then we became a boy or a girl. Then we became adolescent, we became youthful. And if you are old enough, you have become old, and we are on the verge of death. This is the nature of the body. It is with this body, changeful body, that we do whatever we do in the form of understanding, experience, activity, interaction, meeting, everything is done with the body. And what about the earth? As I always say, the sun is giving us heat and light. There will come a time when the sun has exhausted all the heat and light energy transformation possible. And one day our sun will have become cold. What? Cold. Sun will have become cold. Everything is subject to depletion and exhaustion. In such a world, he says, you contemplate upon the supreme truth. What is that supreme truth? Param. It is not the one that you can come across in the world around, which we look at and interact with our senses. We are living in this world. Early in the morning we wake up. Ever since we wake up, we are seeing, we are hearing, we are touching, we are tasting, we are smelling. All these are interactions. These interactions are enabled by our senses on the body. And whatever is in front of the senses or around the senses, they are called the visible, the drishya, the perceptible. So in the perceptible world, including your own body, you will not be able to find the truth. It transcends the senses. It goes beyond the senses. That is why it is called param, transcendent. Satya is transcendent. It is within your body, where alone your senses cannot penetrate. Our senses can penetrate anywhere in the whole world. We can find out matters. Our scientists are discovering something. Yes, it is possible that there is another earth with water and living conditions, they have started saying. So we can go anywhere in the whole world, penetrate into all regions. But there is one region where we cannot penetrate with any external instrument or scientific gadget or an objective process of experimentation, and that is within our body. That is not possible. So the supreme truth is within the body. You contemplate upon it. Close your eyes, sit gently, comfortably, without any movement, agitation, and contemplate upon the thought process that you have. Finally go into the very source of thinking, the thinker, the pre-thinking substance, and the first of everything and all. Satyam param dhimahi. Every reader of Sreemad Bhaagavatam, every hearer of Sreemad Bhaagavatam is supposed to do this. And Sreemad Bhagavata takes you to that level of inner absorption, inner perception, inner cognition, that inner sublimation and the inner ecstasy and fulfillment. Parikshit was under the clutches of fear, under the clutches of death. He stopped taking food, stopped drinking water. Only breathing he did. Within 7 days, only by virtue of Sreemad Bhagavata infusion. Are you listening to me? By virtue of this Bhagavata infusion. What was Sugamuni doing? He was instilling into him infusional introspection. A kind of an introspection by virtue of which the benefits will be infused into himself. It's called infusional introspection. Maybe a coinage from the Swamiji. That infusional introspection was instilled into him with every word of Sreemad Bhagavatam. This infusion was so much that it completely subdued, engulfed, overpowered Parikshit, and the whole fear was gone. And the entire world got obliterated at the end of 6 days. And he was able to withdraw into himself. So this is the second aspect of Sreemad Bhagavatam. I am speaking about the excellence and exhortation. I have spoken to you about the excellence. How this Sreemad Bhagavatam is different from all the other similar compositions. The first verse itself refers to the source of creation, the source of yourself. And it exhorts you to contemplate upon the supreme truth, that presence which remains changeless throughout in the past, present and future. The third factor I have to tell you is Yatratra Sargo Mrisha. This is the message of Sreemad Bhagavatam. Trisargaha means what? The entire creation, a display of Sattva-guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna, which are the three spiritual constituents of Prakriti. The whole creation is a display of these gunas. That display, Srimad Bhagavata says, is mrisha. Mrisha means what? Non-existent. It is illusory, illusory, illusory. The world is what your senses make. Disconnected from your senses, separated from your senses, independent of your senses. No object or no existence in this world has got any relevance at all. Whenever we say something exists, instantly you say, I saw it, I felt it. So if you are not there, the existence also would not be there. Don't say that I slept and the world is there. Let all people sleep, then the world will not be there. Before the world comes to be seen, your senses to see the world must be first there. And these senses are not made by the world. Our senses are made by the power and presence within the body. In the creation or in the generation or evolution of the senses, Mr. World has no part to play at all. Am I clear, my dear viewers? Are you able to understand what I say? If we have eyes, these eyes are determining the colors and shapes of the objects. If the eyes were not there, no color will be there, no shape will be there. If you have no ear, no sound will be there. If you have no nose, no smell will be there. And in the absence of tongue, no taste. In the absence of skin, no touch. So the source is in you, in you. They are all fixed on your body. And the body is evolved in the mother's womb by the power and presence in the fetus itself. Yatratra sargo mrisha. 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 Whatever happens in this world, never be shaken beyond a measure. Let it be a gain or a loss. Let it be prosperity or adversity. Let it be a fortune or a misfortune. Understand that everything is illusory, illusory, illusory. Let anything come. It is my mind that matters. My mind that matters. When the mind says the world is there, when the mind says no, the world is gone. Do you agree or disagree? Every day when you wake up, the world comes. And when you go to sleep, pass, everything is obliterated. Obliterate. The expectant mother got the child, and after the delivery, the first day and second day, she may be fondling the child. After some time, she will put the child into sleep and she will herself feel tired. Where is the child and where is the mother then? Our mind is capable of bringing the world into display and also wiping out the whole display. It is possible. Understand it very well. So it is mrisha, mrisha. Yatratra sargo mrisha. After having stated all these things, what is Srimad Bhagavatam proposing to do for you? Yes, it's very, very clear. It's always exposing to you the dharma, the code of life for you, the code of ethics. How to live as a human being, as an individual, as a family person, and as family itself, then as a societal fabric, as a societal unit, then as a nation, as a global being. We must have the dharma. This dharma is explained there, says the second verse. What is that? Dharma projhita kaida botra paramo nirmatsaranam sadam vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tabatrayonmulanam. This is what Srimad Bhagavata says. Dharma projhita kaida botra paramo. The author says, I excel, I delight, I revel in exposing, in explaining what is true dharma. Dharma means what is proper, what is right, what is true, what will elevate, enrich and fulfill human life. And in exposing it, I am under no fear or apprehension, doubt, preference or prejudice. Projhita kaidavotra paramo. It is just like peeling the skin of an onion. Onion, I am doing this. And in the whole of this exposition, what is it that you have to do? Vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam. Vedyam, Vedyam. Say that. The word Vedya means to be known. In Sreemad Bhagavata, every word is giving you knowledge. Knowledge, knowledge. You know, every word is idea expressed in an audible form. Every thought is an idea expressed in an inaudible form. Every thought is a unit of idea, a unit of knowledge. So every word contains some knowledge. Vedyam. So I am disclosing to you, explaining to you, I am exposing to you what? Vedyam vastavamatra. The supreme truth. The supreme truth. Without this exposition, you will never come across it throughout your life. Maybe you are married, you have 3 or 4 children, you may are a big prosperous person, you have a good building, mansion, you will not have known truth at all. You will not have known truth at all. What you cling to is the untruth, it is the evanescent, the transitory and what not. Vedyam vastava matra. What is this vastava? Shivadam. Are you following me? Shivadam. This is the only one which will bestow upon you mangala, auspiciousness. Our life by nature is not at all auspicious. We are all miserable. We are tormented. We are afflicted. We are assaulted in one way or the other, externally as well as internally. Even today, what did I read in the newspaper? One more gang rape. See? What? The other day something happened and a lot of halla gulla is going on there. And today there is something more. Are we not human beings? Where is our sense gone? Are we not born of our parents? Don't we have a mother? Do we not have also sisters? Are you not surrounded by them everywhere? What is this raping tendency? How does it overtake man? Where is the root cause? Who is the sinner? Where is the sin maker? What is the source of all this? The world is not all that peaceful as you seem to be thinking or expecting. Tabatrayonmulanam. Any human being born on the surface of this world is subject to the constant assault by tapatraya, the threefold misery. The threefold misery. Having been born, no matter whether it is in a palace, whether it is in a resourceful family, with education, with prosperity, with help, anything, understand, you are living in the world, surrounded by the world. And the world is constantly assailing you with its threefold misery. Are you hearing me? Tabatrayonmulanam. What is the threefold misery? One is the misery caused by the mind and the intelligence of man. When we are not able to look at, understand and assimilate an event in a proper manner, it is going to cause a lot of turmoil. You have a daughter, she has fallen in love with somebody whom you cannot approve. Finally, both of them have run away. You become miserable. Why are you becoming miserable? Your daughter is an adult and she has taken her course of life. If she has the freedom to go her way, I have the freedom to reconcile with it in my way. Why are you failing? Why are you failing? Is the mind superior or the world of inert matter superior? No answer. The mind is after all sentient and the matter is insentient. The insentient material world is going to assail you. Sreemad Bhagavata will not approve of it at all. So we have a truth to disclose to you, the supreme truth, and that is the only thing which can survive. All the other things are not surviving at all, they are transitory. The transitory items are going to devour the eternal presence in your system. It is unacceptable. I cannot accept it at all. All the things in this world are transitory, and the eternal presence is within you, the power and the presence that animate and activate your body. Can the transitory overcome the eternal? After all, who is your daughter? A transitory person. She along with her wonderful, beloved person. Both of them are going to live for a few decades. And you have got a permanent soul, everlasting soul. And mashed or rubbed against your soul, what are they capable of? If she wants to go away, being ungrateful to the parents who have given her a body, who have given her a body worthy of being loved or fascinated by another, leave her. Allow her to go. If you don't like, keep your cool and remain. Srimad Bhagavata comes to you, embracing you, empowering you, enlightening you, elevating you, strengthening you. It can give you enormous courage, enormous everything. Tapatrayonmoolanam. It is in your mind, the whole impact of Tapatraya is. Let the cause of Tapa be anything. But after all, it is affecting or afflicting your mind. And in the mind is our treatment. Our treatment is in your mind. We will infuse your mind, infuse into your mind, imbue your mind with this eternal knowledge, eternal inspiration, eternal confidence, eternal glory, splendor. This is what Srimad Bhagavata does. As it did for Parikshit. Poor Parikshit without food and drink was simply listening. Only his ears were employed, eyes were employed. But every word was absorbed by the mind. And with every absorption, the mind became more and more immortal, more and more glorious, more and more splendorous, more and more magnificent, more and more jubilant, ecstatic. Tapatrayonmoolanam. 3 kinds of tapa are there. One tapa is the adhyatmic tapa. The word Atma and Adhyatma, always this word refers to oneself, particularly inside. Sri Rama decided to go to the forest at the instance of Kaikeyi, the stepmother. My dear stepmother, you want only this much? That I have to go and live in the forest for 14 years? Rama will have left Ayodhya before the sun sets today, he said. Give me a little time to talk to my mother and the others in order to pacify them. Thereafter I will have left, he said, without shedding tears or expressing resistance. He also had the same mind which you and I have, my dear souls. Or did Rama have a special mind? No answer. Everyone born in this world has only one body, one mind, one intelligence, one soul. No difference at all. It's a question of you are deciding to use it properly. So Rama said, I will simply leave. Any extent of courage you can spin and weave from your mind. Any extent of resolution you will be able to muster and express if you want. That great son decided to go to the forest in order to fulfill the words of his father. Everything was great and glorious, but somehow the poor Dasharatha could not appreciate it and allow it. Somehow the poor Dasharatha could not appreciate it and accept it. Sumantra was driving the chariot, keeping Rama, Sita and Lakshmana. Dasharatha somehow cryingly and rollingly came to the front door and said, Sumantra, stop. Halt. Rama said, don't halt, speed up. Sumantra was for a moment totally in confusion. His real master Dasharatha says, stop. And the son, the chariot, the Rathi, the man, the master of the chariot, he says, speed on. What shall I do now? Then Rama also added, if the father asks you later, you tell him that you did not hear him. Because the occasion of sorrow should not be prolonged further under any circumstances. So let us leave the place. Now this is how Ramayana teaches the code of ethics. The father asking Sumantra to stop, the son giving him a counter instruction, and he follows it saying that, miserable and unfortunate aggrieved moments, they should not be prolonged. Let us put an end to it. Start off. The moment Rama left, Dasharatha, Rama, Rama, collapsed. Adhyatmik dukkha. The mind can produce so much of misery that it instantly dies. I am wondering, I even now want to ask this old king, what was the reason for you to die? For having left Ayodhya and lived in the forest for 14 years, your son is praised and glorified by countless number of people throughout the continuing generations in the world. Such a great son you had, glorious son you had. All people are wanting to become another Rama, another Rama. Such a great exemplary person. When he went to the forest, why did you become so sorrowful and leave your prana even? At the same time, Kausalya did not die. What? And I have to ask you, are you going to be Kausalyas or Dasarathas? Huh? Are you going to be Kausalyas or Dasarathas? Simply he died for no reason, no provocation, nothing. This is called Adhyatmika Dukkha. And the Dukkha inflicted by other creatures, Adhibhautika. And the Dukkha's inflicted by tsunami, drought, cyclone, so many different types of contagious disease and the like, all of them are Adhidevika. This threefold misery is never going to leave the human mind at all, even for one moment, as long as you are upon the earth. Now, Sreemad Bhagavata has got the power to eliminate, wipe off and obliterate the misery. This is what Shukamuni did by narrating Ramayana to Parikshit. Parikshit went on hearing all the sorrows, all the pains, all the anxiety, all the torment, all the doubts. Everything went off. And what does he say ultimately? Siddhosmi anugrihidosmi bhavata karunatmana savido yachame sakshat anadinithano harihi bhagavam tashakadibhyo mrityubhyo na bibhemyaham pravishto brahmanirvanam abhayam darshidam tvaya. Are you following me? See, this Srimad Bhagavata infusion was so powerful. At the end of the 6th day, Parikshit, the listener, he comes up with a statement, Siddhosmi, Anugrihidosmi. Till then, what was he? Abhishaptosmi. He had the audacity to take a dead cobra and put it on Shamika Maharshi's neck when the poor Maharshi was contemplating upon the soul and he did not know anything outside. He was a samadhista. He was absorbed in samadhi. Was it his fault? When you go to a kutira, what are you expecting? You are going to have a big drama there. In a kutira, austere people will be there. And these people will be simply sitting, either reading or explaining or getting absorbed in meditation. To remain absorbed in meditation is the greatest sight that we can expect from a kutira. So instead of getting blessed, what Parikshit should have done is, the moment he saw Parikshit immersed in samadhi, a very rare sight, I cannot get it in my palace. Let me fall completely at his feet and beg for his blessings. This is what Parikshit should have done. Instead of that, the thirst of the body, it overpowered him and subdued him. It threw him into an anger, into an hatred. Then he went out and Prakriti beautifully had maneuvered to keep a dead cobra there. He lifted it and brought it, put it on the neck. Just imagine. What is this? It was a great and a colossal sin for a Maharaja like Parikshit. So he was an Abhishapta, an accursed person. Now that accursed king comes up at the end of the 6th day with a statement, Siddhosmi, Anugrihitosmi. Are you following me, my dear viewers? Siddhosmi, I have got fulfilled now. I am a fulfilled person. Anugrihitosmi. I am extremely blessed and fortunate. Bhavata karunatmana. By virtue of yourself, the most merciful Avadhuta sage who has come before me. And like me, you are also sitting and narrating throughout the day for my hearing. What greater fortune can I expect? The misfortune has fled, it has dissolved. Parikshit is not at all a sinner. He is the most fortunate person now, having been blessed with the greatest human attainment possible. Shravito yachame sakshat anadi nidhano harihi. All these 6 days you have been making me listen to Shravito yachame sakshat anadi nidhano harihi. You have been describing and explaining and narrating to me all about Lord Hari, who has got a beginningless origin and who is the source of support for everything in the whole creation. You have brought that presence into me. I have got it in my understanding now. I am able to contemplate upon it, actualize it in the form of an experience, a recognition, an apprehension in me. Bhagavan stachakadibhyo mrityubhyo na bibhemyaham. O Lord, I have no more fear from Takshaka. I have no more fear and apprehension from mrityu, death. Na bibhemyaham. Are you hearing me? Just see, Parikshit is saying it. This is a stamp of approval for having heard Bhagavata narrations consistently for 6 days. I have no fear, no Takshaka before me. I have no death also staring at me. Pravishto brahmanirvanam abhayam darshidam tvaya. You have provided me the inner key to open the door of nirvana within my body. Every day, everyone sleeps. And when he is sleeping, he is going into a kind of a level where nothing in this world is touching him, affecting him. Neither birth, nor death, nor life, nor the various impacts from the world. Nothing affects him. You are safely within. No damage, nothing, no fatigue. Every fatigue is removed and redressed in your sleep. In the same manner, you have shown me that Brahma Nirvana secret, the Brahma Nirvana mystery. Are you with me, my dear souls? Brahma Nirvana Pravishtaha. I am able to enter into that secret chamber within me, which gives me that wonderful spiritual release, redemption, freedom and ecstasy. Abhayam darshidam tvaya. The most fearless abode I have been able to spot, I have been able to reach, I have been able to open within myself. Parikshita virajarshihi atmanya atmanamatmana samadhaya param dadhyau aspandasur yathataruhu. Parikshita virajarshihi. He was only a Raja till then. Now he has become a Raja Rishi. Am I clear? He was only a Raja. Now he has become like Janaka, a Raja Rishi. A Raja Rishi. Atmanyatmanamatmana samadhaya. He was able to get into himself. By what power? No external power. He was only listening to Shugamuni, understanding what he was conveying, and helped by, enlightened by, inspired by, engulfed by the understanding. All his external fascinations, external pull and push, everything disappeared, everything fell off, and he was able to withdraw into himself. Atmanya atmanamatmana samadhaya. He was able to recede from everything outside, get into himself. Param dadhyau aspandasur yathataruhu. Just like a piece of log, where there is no vibration, no movement, no growth, all the life forces have gone. A dry log, he was able to sit. Prakule barhishyasino gangakula udangmukha brahmabhuto mahayogi nissanga chinna samshayaha. Prakule barhishyasino. He had spread kusha grass. The tip of it was facing eastward. And Ganga Kule, upon the bank of Ganga, Udangmukha, he turned towards the north. All the kusha grasses were facing that side, and towards the Brahma Bhuto Mahayogi. He had become Brahma Bhutaha. He had become Brahman inwardly. Mahayogi. Are you listening to me? Mahayogi. Yogi. He was only a king sitting on the throne, sitting on the kusha grass on the bank of Ganga. He has become in 6 days a yogi. A yogi. Not decades of austerity were performed by him. He became a Mahayogi. Nissangaha, Chinna Samshayaha. No doubt or oscillation was there in his mind. Nissangaha. Either towards his body, or towards his throne, or towards the incident that took place in the Shamika Maharshi's cottage, or about the curse that the sun pronounced on him. None of these things he was aware of. The mind was completely steeped, inundated by Nissanga. All the delusional clinging had gone. He was graced by indifference. He was graced by dispassion. He was graced by disassociation. Within our body is air. Still rarer is the mind. Still rarer is the intelligence. Still rarer is the ego. And the rarest of all is the Chidakasha, the spatial, the sentient space that you have. He got inside that. Completely Nissanga he became. Brahma Bhudasya Rajarshe Deho hi. Brahma Bhudasya Rajarshe Deho hi Garalagnina Babhuva Bhasmasadadya Sadyaha Pashyadam Sarvadehinam. Brahma Bhutasya Rajarshe. That Parishit became a Rajarshi, and inside him he was so absorbed that he became a Brahma Bhuta. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. To know God is to become God. So by virtue of the knowledge of Brahman, he had become Brahman. Dehaha ahi garalagnina. Nevertheless, on the fated day, hour and moment, Takshaka came, bit and administered, injected the poison into the body. What? Into the? Not into Parikshit. Not into Parikshit. Only the body. Parikshit had become Brahma Bhuta at the time. Babhuva bhasmasad sadyaha. The whole body was burnt in the blazing poison, and everything was reduced into ashes. No cremation had to be done. Pashyadam sarvadehinam. So many people who were sitting around were witnesses to the whole episode. Parikshit was not there at all to know about what was experiencing, to experience the plight at all. Nothing happened to him. Are you hearing? This is Sreemad Bhagavatam, my dear souls. I call it Maranatta Kidadakiya Mahastram. It is the mighty weapon which subdued and conquered the powerful death. Where is death now? The body would have fallen maybe after a decade, 2 or 3. Now the Takshaka came. The whole curse was effective. Takshaka came, bit, injected the poison. The body was completely turned into ashes in the blazing fire of the poison itself. But in the whole process, Parikshit, the reality person, Parikshit, the soul, Parikshit, the inner person, the inner personality, was not there at all. This is how Sreemad Bhagavatam provides you the inner safety, the inner insurance, the inner affluence and abundance, by virtue of which even the worst of calamity, the worst of misery, torment that is going to afflict you will be completely redressed and wiped off. This is Sreemad Bhagavatam. Only by a process of infusional introspection, introspectional infusion. Listen to it, read it, reflect upon it. So the exhortation and the excellence of Sreemad Bhagavatam is making a man listen to it, and in the course of 6 days redress whatever misfortune he had. redress even the physical fate that he was subjected to. Takshaka was supposed to come, bite and kill him. Before Takshaka came and could do it, Parikshit, the inner personality, had already found its asylum, its safety, its redemption and its fulfillment. It's an inward treatment, an inward infusion, all by a process of truthful introspection, administered by a process of skillful, devout and devoted narration. It all depends upon the exponent. How well the exponent is able to deliver the message, how feelingfully he does it, how masterly he does it, how authoritatively he does it, how much he is able to absorb the listener's attention and get himself infused into the process. This is what determines. That is why it is called a Paramahamsya Samhita. It also promises that God will be installed in the heart. Everyone will be able to tie the Lord in his own heart. Sadyo hridya varudhyadetra kritibihi shushrusubhistakshanad. The Lord will be completely tied in your heart. He will not be able to escape. All that is required is shushrusubhihi. You must faithfully, lovingly, devotedly, devoutly, perseveringly, tenaciously, wholesomely, sweetly listen to it. That's all. Come here, listen to in a sweet manner. That's all what is required. The rest of it, Sreemad Bhagavatam, the narrator and the narration will have worked. Your duty is only to keep quiet and listen to. Listen to. Listen to. Do not doubt. Do not also unnecessarily question. Absorb. Absorb. Be absorbed. Absorb and be absorbed. Get into absorption. This is what the excellence of Srimad Bhagavatam is, and the exhortation. Turn inwardly. Locate the eternal presence within you. Get yourself absorbed into it and say goodbye to this world. Goodbye to this world. Goodbye. I am all right within myself. I don't need you at all. I don't fear the Takshaka. I have no grumbling against the curse pronounced by the son of the Shamika Maharshi. I am all right. My mind is pure, guileless, innocent. It is a simple child, and my redemption is concealed and stored within myself. I have got the key to open it, enter into it, and be safely there. This is what Srimad Bhagavatam's message is. Is it okay? I will conclude the session, but none of you should get up from here until I get up. Because there are 2 books to be released. They have come from the press, and our ashram thought that this is the best occasion to release it. So we are going to release it. Nobody is there. It has come just now. Maybe they are expecting me to give it to somebody. Maybe I will do. Or if they have some other arrangement, they are free to do so. So till that is over, please remain. At least see what the Satram people are doing and what your Swamiji is doing. Let us see. So shall I conclude the session then? Will all of you sit here? Kartavyamasti namameha na kinchideva stadavyamityadimanaha bhuvi samstidosmi samshantaya sadada suptadhiyaiva vritya karyam karomi na cha kinchidaham karomi shandasvabhavamajaratmakameka satyam samvidpadam nirupamam kalana vihinam andarbahischa bahudha vyavaharyamanam taddaivamev mama sarvam aham tadeva taddaivamev mama sarvam aham tadeva. Harihi Om, Harihi Om, Harihi. All together. Harihi Om Tas.